RealismCraft has quickly grown to be one of the most successful add-ons of all time. The official trailer has gotten over 2 million views in 2 months. The special about this add-on is that it is realistic yet suitable for day-to-day gameplays. For the past few weeks, I've been brainstorming and experimenting around with many mods, shaders, texture packs, and even data packs to create a closer version of said add-on in Java Edition. Not to spoil anything, but I do feel like I did a good job. Towards the end, I will also add extra mods to make the final result even superior to RealismCraft in a way. I'm also happy to announce that the ModPack was made using less than 100 mods, meaning it will be FPS friendly for the most part, though some slight performance impact should be expected. I highly recommend watching the video all the way through, as I've discussed details, fixes, and some secrets that you will miss out on if you just rush through the video. The RealismCraft textures were very simple, nothing over the top or insanely detailed, making it an excellent vanilla friendly add-on. So, to start off, we will be taking care of the shading, and Astralix was almost a perfect option for the following reasons. It has lens flare effects when glancing at the sun, the clouds are realistic and dynamic, and there is an aurora borealis during nighttime. Shooting stars can also be spotted at the same time. Rainbows appear after a thunderstorm diffuses, and finally, there is a subtle cartoonish birds effect, animating the sky even further. All of these features are present on the add-on we are trying to emulate, which justified how I call this shader a perfect option. Now, I'm not inconsiderate. I know that the majority of you can't run shaders, or for the very least prefer going shaderless when playing a ModPack. That's why I prepared a combination to simulate the RealismCraft shading without the need for a shader. That being the fog mod, coupled with the dramatic skies texture pack. Using both, you will have a detailed, somewhat dramatic skies, along with a hazy and foggy presence in the distance. There's also the option to alternate between both the Astralix shaders and the vanilla shading setup. Maybe turn on the shaders when you wish to have a neat screenshot of a certain spot and go back shaderless when exploring the world around you. After a long search and comparisons of textures, I've managed to find the fairest textures for the mission. Checklist. This is a fully textured 16 by 16 pack with an appearance that is almost identical to the textures of RealismCraft. This was a godsend of a texture pack, and since it is of the same resolution as vanilla, we are able to add many more add-ons to further improve the outlook of our ModPack. First add-on will be one to freshen up the animations of every mob in the checklist texture pack using fresh animations. As seen in the trailer of RealismCraft, mobs have a unique and dynamic animation, enlivening nature and pushing its realism aspect even further. Also, new mobs will be added later on the video, so stay tuned for that. After that, we will add foliage plus tweaks, a resource pack that will add butterflies, pebbles, tree barks, and plenty more foliage related things. As seen in the trailer of RealismCraft, the forests were dense with details, most of which, if not all of which, are included with the foliage plus tweaks. In the context of vegetation, Shroomland would be perfect to emulate the mushroom variants added within RealismCraft. Sometimes the Shroomland can conflict with foliage plus tweaks variants, but it will override it for the most part. And hey, more variety, more realism, so it is a perk after all. In the add-on, we can see a nice detail about the spawn eggs. They are no longer vague and hard to identify. Each egg will symbolize the mob it spawns. Minimob spawn eggs is a small yet effective texture pack to use in here, as it will yield exactly the same results, which wouldn't enhance the survival gameplay at all, but I thought it would be valuable to include it, given our purpose behind this ModPack. In the RealismCraft add-on, the weapons and tools are uniquely 3D, and look incredible in your hands and when observed on other maps too. Pixel by tools is an excellent choice to mimic such features. The weapons here may be a bit different, but have the same attributes. When playing the raw gameplay, you won't help but notice the decent design of these tools on your hand and also on the hands of mobs. In addition, there are few extra 3D items. Those will serve as a nice bonus to further enhance the visuals. One small issue I have with this pack, however, are the tridents. They are nowhere near RealismCraft's, but this is a problem easily solved with our next texture pack, Better Tridents by Petronix Rex. The tridents now look majestic, having a complex design and looking quite identifiable with those of the add-on. So, not a bad start so far. Ambient effects are a big part of RealismCraft and are mostly noticeable on the aquatic side of the ambient, with entities leaving a trail of wakes behind to splashes and bubbles ensuing any dive. The particular will be an all-in-one option. Firstly, mirroring the water splashes effect of RealismCraft. Each time an item or an entity falls on the water, a splash effect will be triggered, with bubbles also forming around the splashes. Also, I changed the water shading on Astral X to RGX. This way we take advantage of the Juggless's water textures, all the while improving the colors and reflections of said water. Anyways, as I said, this splash effect is quite interactive and even alters the visuals from below the water surface. In addition to particular, I decided to add the wakes mod. Keep in mind both are Sinatra connected, so without that mod, they won't run on our 1.20.1 Forge modpack. Back to the mod now. Mixing both ambient mods will produce a highly satisfying and also highly accurate visual to the effects presented by the add-on RealismCraft, giving water interactions more life and increasing immersion immeasurably. To further magnify the water visuals, it would be valuable to add Make Bubbles Pop. This mod adds few bubble effects that can aid finalizing the water effect we're after. Also, the mod particular has way more features to offer. Few are also emulative of RealismCraft, like the falling leaves effect, which is extra exciting as the leaves lay flat as they fall, along with triggering a subtle version of the splash effect we covered earlier. There are also butterflies, which are creatures that were apparent at the end of the RealismCraft trailer. In the context of the nights, Luminous Pack will add a unique 3D torch, replacing the vanilla variants. These torches are quite impressive looking and also happen to have appeared in the trailer too. Only we can see that the player holds the torch differently than in vanilla. To acknowledge this issue too, we will be pairing it with the Not Enough animation. Now our character will be holding the luminous torches realistically. The last mod we'll use to emulate RealismCraft's visual effects is the Sodium Dynamic Lights. For those who choose to go with the Astral X shaders, you won't need this mod as there is a built-in dynamic light feature on said shader. However, for the shaderless players, which is the vast majority, this will be a pivot mod. As seen in the add-on, light emitted by anything will surround the player in a narrow radius, creating a realistic light simulation. This mod will provide just that, with even the possibility to tweak the strength of the effect as to suit low-end computers, which will prove perfect for our purpose. I had to modify the files of the foliage plus weeks pack in order to make the leaves not bushy. Bushy leaves causes a whopping 300% reduction in frame rates. This problem is only present with shaders, so it would be a non-issue for the majority. Still, RealismCraft has no bushy leaves, so it may also enhance our accuracy in the modpack. I'll leave two different packs, one with bushy leaves and the others without said leaves, so you could choose which one fits you best. In watching the trailer or playing the actual add-on, no doubt you have noticed a difference in player animations. They are quite dynamic and fluid. As an attempt to emulate these advanced animations, we'll be using two different options. First, and honestly the most accurate, is detailed animations. The reason it is the most accurate is how it resonates with the RealismCraft's animation. The player will have a vivid set of movements. The body leans forward while sprinting, and every action gets followed by a smooth ease out, and it started with an equally fluid ease in. The problem that I have with detailed animations, however, is its incompatibility with the Not Enough animations, specifically the animation of holding the torches, which is literally the reason we've added it to begin with. This is upsetting news, I know, but we do have a substitution, one that may not be as fluid or as accurate, but it will do the job adequately. I'm talking about the Fresh Moves pack. It did actually start this whole player animation resource pack category, and is also renowned for its eye movement animation. Here, you will need to make a choice, either using the Fresh Moves and keep the Not Enough animations, or remove the latter and use detailed animations instead, which adheres more to RealismCraft. I'll leave both packs on the top, so you choose one. In this cave scene in particular, we can notice an improved explosion animation. Just look closer, you will see that there is a 3D impact and also some incredible smoke textures. I honestly could not find a mod that delivers both the 3D impact and the textures of the smoke at the same time, so I've decided to be extra creative and mash up two mods. Firstly, there is the Explosive Enhancement. This is the mod that will give us the 3D impact I talked about. Those animations look sweet, but they don't deliver the full visuals we're after. That's why the second mod Our texture pack is Fire Rekindled. This mod will further dramatize the animations of explosive enhancement by adding detailed smoke visuals. Keep in mind that to do this, I had to configure the explosive enhancement mod so that vanilla explosions are also visible, which shed light to the texture pack's effect. As seen in the beginning of the trailer, and also commonly found around the world of RealismCraft, are birds. We have already added some fake birds with Astralex, but I feel the urge to also include Bowett's bird add-on. This is a mod that will add a species of birds that will fly in groups, much like those in RealismCraft. This one small add-on made an immense difference in the overall visuals, enlivening our mod pack even more. As I said, this is an add-on for a mod called Poets, which will make the vanilla fish and modded fish too swim in groups, adding extra realism to the mod pack. I know this may not be a feature on RealismCraft, but it lives up to the niche of the add-on. Entering the caves in RealismCraft is not an ordinary experience, as there will be a peculiar cave dust effect. Fortunately, there's a mod in Java Edition that achieves the exact same visual. As a matter of fact, it achieves more. The dust effect here is adjustable. You can increase its intensity along with swapping between a feastful of different effects, making it a mod that not only mimicking this feature in the add-on but improving it too. Reading the guidebook of the add-on, we see some talk about enhanced weather visuals. So let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. The first mod that popped into my head was Biome Particle Weather. Using this mod, you will have convenient weather effects that are clear, aesthetic, and realistic. Also, it's in the desert where things get very interesting, as the mod adds tumbleweed effect, which is an effect that is present on RealismCraft. The second and the last weather mod is called Breezy. The changelog here is tiny, only adding this breeze effect that happens occasionally, ultimately improving the sunny weather in Minecraft. There's also a hot air balloon included with the mod, again a bonus you could also take advantage of. The final mod to emulate RealismCraft's animations is one simply named Spawn Animation. The mod does just that, making the mob spawning animations a little bit different, as they will emerge from underneath the ground instead of abruptly snapping into existence. We see a similar effect when observing the RealismCraft trailer, as zombies crowd from within the soil and into the surface. Sure, it's not the same thing, but this is our best bet as of now. Next up we have terrain generation, and this aspect was not neglected by RealismCraft either, as we can see taller trees, different block formations, more grass, etc. The mod we will base our world generation setup on is Geophilic. Exactly like the add-on, Geophilic will increase the amount of foliage noticeably. Rock boulders will form within forests, fallen logs are commonly found, and the terrain isn't too flat either. Instead, it is uneven and adventurous. Trees were also covered with the Geophilic mod, becoming taller and bushier, akin to RealismCraft's. Still, I didn't want to settle with those, as despite their closeness to the intended shape, they don't perfectly lock in the overall appearance we're after. That is why our next mod is Better Forests, an incredibly underrated mod that makes the trees in Minecraft a lot wilder, thickening their roots and expanding the leaf coverage even more. On the topic of leaves, Serene Seasons will be an excellent addition to change the color theme of the plants seasonally. This will prove especially useful for birch trees, as in the trailer we can clearly notice an orange color for said leaves. As seen in these clips, we've successfully achieved a similar, if not an inseparable version of RealismCraft forests in Java. There is however one more thing left undone, that being immersive weathering. This mod, similar to Serene Seasons, won't necessarily change anything about the terrain generation. Instead, it will add a touch of overgrowth and aging to the wilds in Minecraft, forming icicles on snowy biomes, leaf piles on bushy biomes, along with many other blocks and items that further expand the beauty and utility of nature in Minecraft. Next up, we will try to recreate these ruined structures shown on the add-ons trailer. As I mentioned, they are mostly ruins, so what is a better place to start than a mod literally called Ruins by Philip. This is a mod that will add ruined structures of all sizes, in all biomes, and with all sorts of loot. Thinking about it, the ruined structures were very fit for the terrain generation mods we've added so far. Being ruins, these structures blended almost seamlessly with the overgrown terrain around it. Now here we see a player heading towards a strange looking desert temple. To be honest, I could not find a single mod that had a closer look to this temple, so I had to go with the Young's Bear Desert Temples. I tried to shed light to small mods, but I found none of this type. Still, these temples look terrific nonetheless. There are also an assortment of traps and ancient chambers within the pyramid. So for less accuracy, we got more excitement, which sounds like a fair trade to me. Next up, I added the Dungeons and Taverns Pillager Outposts, akin to RealismCraft's enhanced Pillager Outposts. This mod will add towers and forts instead of the conventional structures in vanilla Minecraft. The loot is also slightly different. In the scene, we see the player running up to what seemed like a slightly different jungle pyramid. Here we also had to go with one of Young's mods. Young's Bear Jungle Chapels wasn't anything like the symbol shown in the add-on. It has a skull symbol carved in it, and is generally taller, but once again, lack of accuracy was adequately counterbalanced with excitement, since there is a little labyrinth beneath the structure. Right after I spawned in this world, I realized there were ships in the add-on too, so the mod I'm adding next is the Illager Warship. This mod will add a ship full of Illagers, which is exactly the case in RealismCraft. In the guidebook, I read something about improved ruined portals, so why not go ahead and take care of that too? The best mod for this purpose is Hoppo's Better Ruined Portals. Relative to that of the add-on, the ruined portals here weren't too big or too insignificant. They were just right. Observing the guidebook, we can glance at a mention of witch hats. I, once again, had to go with one of Young's mods, Better Witch Hats. It wasn't a spot on in this case, having new variants that only changed the shape of the structure a tiny bit, but it was indeed a convenient, non-disruptive option here. If you know of a mod that adds witch hats similar to those of the add-on, let me know in the comments. For now, we're using this. Approaching the end of this section, we will be adding Cater Structure Village mod. This mod was added solely for this jungle treehouse, as there was a mention of it in the RealismCraft guidebook. This tree is a part of the jungle village variant on the mod, and there are plenty more variants that can count as a bonus for each enjoy. Final Young's mod, and the final mod on this whole section, is Young's Better Mineshafts. In this scene, where the player runs with explosions following them, we can notice an improved mineshaft on the back. The whole structure seems more detailed and organized. That's why Young's mod was, once again, a decent fit for this emulation, having added different mineshaft variants along with expanding the architecture of said structures, making them highly detailed and intriguing to come across. In the guidebook, we can notice some natural events like blizzards, thunderstorms, and falling meteors, which are clearly apparent on the trailer. The first mod we will add is weather, storms, and tornadoes. This mod completely overhauls the weather effects in the game, not just visually, but functionally too. Tornadoes, for instance, will carry mobs and blocks around, making it a disastrous weather event. There are also subtle and beautiful effects like the wind speed. It blows into a specific direction, moving with the leaves, smoke, dust, and even the particular splash effect, which is an issue actually. If you know how to fix it, let me know. In the meantime, I will keep this mod disabled. Finally, things like desert storms will obscure your vision quite entirely, and the same impact is present when a snowstorm begins. Atmospheric phenomena will be the mod to wrap up this section. It adds the fallen meteor thing I talked about earlier. Those are rare events, and so I was only able to capture one meteor falling. There are also specific blocks and items extractable from the fallen meteor. Again, a little bonus for you, my friend. Impossible to ignore are the different variants of the vanilla mobs in the RealismCraft add-on, both friendly and the hostile mobs. The first mod we will use to bring this feature in Java is the Variants and Ventures mod. This mod will add new textures and shapes for the undead creatures. The frozen zombie in particular is present on the official trailer, and so we have here a perfectly fitted mod for the mission. Now, let's take care of the farm animals, and the mod for it is More Mob Variants. Similar to the mod before it, More Mob Variants will provide additional species and diversity to the game's fauna, pushing our little ModPack closer to the variety shown in RealismCraft. Now we move on to the fun part, adding more animals. I wanted to go with something like Alex's mobs, but I realized the deal breaker. Some of the mobs in that mod are fantasy based, which is polar opposite of realism. So instead, I went ahead and used the Naturalist mod. The number of animals here is brief but effective, covering many regions of the world and making the wilderness slightly more alive. Also, a very exciting detail I noticed is how the fish here was affected by the Poets mod. Next we have Drowdy's Illagers. As seen in this frame on the trailer, the Ravager looks different. Same applies to all the Raiders. That's why this 6-pack was almost a perfect option to emulate this part of the add-on. Sure, the Illagers here can be different from that of RealismCraft, but believe me, I did enough research to tell you, my friend, that you will never find a better or more suitable resource pack for this mission than Drowdy's Illagers. Also, make sure the Drowdy's compatibility pack is installed and placed like that, so that the animations are akin to the rest of the mobs. Nearing the end, we have Ender Dragon Revamp. Surely your eyes have landed on this improved Ender Dragon model. This pack will add a design that is a bit closer to the add-on's dragon, and similar to the pack before it, Ender Dragon Revamp was by far the best option I could find, but feel free to suggest any alternatives. The final chapter of the RealismCraft guidebook mentions the improved sound quality and diversity. In the Java edition, we have tons of audible mods to spare, beginning with the most popular, Ambient Sounds 6, a project we will base our sounds section on. This mod, as I said, is so popular that I don't have to talk about its features. Just take a listen yourself, my friend. After that comes the presence footsteps. Now I haven't heard any distinct sounds for the footsteps in RealismCraft, but I do feel that it could very well be a feature on said add-on. Besides, it would make our ModPack better and special, so why not? With the 2 sound mods we've added so far, this next mod will be the beast that locks in the audio experience we're after. Sounds physics will make the sounds in Minecraft realistic, and thus dramatizing the sound effects of the presence footsteps and the ambient sounds mod. As I promised in the intro, I'll be adding a handful of mods to make this ModPack even better, adding things that are currently lacking in the RealismCraft add-on. Don't worry though, this section will be fairly short, so stick around and watch. We have already talked about the amazing player animation on the add-on, but how will you be able to see them if you are stuck on first person mode? That's why the first mod I'll be adding here is Shoulder Safely Reloaded. With an increased mobility around third person view and the ability to relocate set perspective as you like, this was the only option I could think of. Now you get to enjoy the animations of your skin along with the animation of everything around you. This mod was one to immediately increase enjoyment around the RealismCraft Java Edition ModPack.
Swinging the sword? That's surprising. I mean, maybe it's different. I guess I can't tell.
Nope, no, it's exactly the same, what else? But I get you, man, and the mod we'll be adding next is Better Combat. What is the point of having player animation if the combat, which is a predominant part of the gameplay, is left undone? As you can see, this mod made everything better and most importantly, more realistic. Nearing the end of our improvement section, 2 extra sound mods will be added. The first is the quality sounds. This is a very interesting mod that will change the sounds of placing and destroying blocks, making them more accurate and dynamic. The second audio mod is quite subtle but highly gratifying, that being the extra sounds next. All this mod will do is change the sounds of the items in any GUI. This can make all the difference given the amount of ruins and structures we will be looting. Having something that makes this snippet of the game satisfying can affect the entire gameplay with enjoyment and fun. And the final mod, and one that is optional and left open-ended for you, my friend, to change or keep, is Better Villages. This mod will overhaul the villages in Minecraft. With the pillager outpost being revamped, I thought it would be a waste to keep the polar opposite of said structures uncovered. Just bear in mind that some types of villages, like the Tiger village for instance, are not affected by the mod. That's why I put this mod in the optional list. Alright, quite the work right there. Hope it wasn't for nothing and that you, my friend, will find this ModPack enjoyable. Subscribe and hit the bell to not miss any future videos. I'll see ya in the next one, my friend.